we have cardio is the best way to lose fat. So we thought we'd just recap a little bit on what we had in the last group coaching session as well, just to start with.
Yeah, interestingly, I'm sure Pete, you've kind of experienced this where, as coaches, we spend a lot of our time actually debunking myths. And so it is a good way to kind of, just get straight into it with this. So number one, being cardio as the best way to lose fat is obviously a myth, right? We often see people spending hours, doing cardio machines, running, but avoiding strength training, nutrition, sleep, hoping for fat loss, right? It comes from early fitness culture that essentially emphasized this whole calorie burn during exercise, similar to what we spoke about in the cardio for fat loss group call a couple of weeks ago. And I think it doesn't help that nowadays we have these, smartwatches and things that are telling us we burnt X amount of calories, right? And so this reinforces that, cardio is the best way for fat loss and that you need to sweat more. The more you sweat, the more fat loss, you get. Now, in reality, or rather, why it's a myth is that fat loss actually depends on a sustained calorie deficit, right? It's not the type of exercise alone that you do. It's not about the cardio. It's not about the boot camp. It's not about the soul cycle and all these crazy things, right? Cardio burns calories in the short term, right? But it actually doesn't do much for preserving muscle mass in the long run, nor does it do much for actually keeping that weight off or the calories that you've burnt completely off. You often then have this compensatory effect where people, because they do so much cardio, they have absolutely no energy, sit on the couch and do significantly less movement, which obviously then leads to eating more food. And you go from a calorie deficit to maintenance, where you're not changing anything, or even a calorie surplus, where you actually see people gaining weight despite all the cardio that they're doing. So, what's the truth? What do you actually need to do? Now, I'm sure we all know this. You've heard us drum this point home every single group call. Eat in a calorie deficit. And the best way to do that is to eat nutrient dense whole foods 80 to 90% of the time because they are less calorie dense. They'll make it much easier to remain in a calorie deficit. Strength train 2 to 4 times a week to ensure that you're maintaining as much muscle as possible. You want to sleep 7 to 9 hours, obviously for recovery, waking up and sleeping at the same time every night. And then you want to use cardio to improve cardiovascular endurance. That's why it's called cardio, right? You want to improve your cardiovascular endurance or have fun, Like recently, Zara sent a picture playing paddle with some friends not too long ago. Was that yesterday or earlier in the week?